everyone, welcome into the Flippin' Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star. If you're new to the channel or you haven't already, please consider subscribing and helping us feed a hungry hippo. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up while you're watching. It really helps the channel out a lot. Or you can hit the thumbs down. That's okay too. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, it is called Flippin' Hippos Reseller Pod. Today we're doing a unpopular reseller opinion video, and we're going to be talking about cross-posting. More to the point of whether you should be cross-posting or not. I have seen more folks recently speak up against cross-posting, more than usual. However, I do feel like the vast majority or the huge percentage of resellers already are cross-posting, are on board with it, or are considering moving into cross-posting soon. I don't think there's a lot of people that are against it, but there are people that are against it, and they have their reasons. I honestly don't understand how there is still anyone out there that thinks the answer to should you be cross-posting is no. Because you're just cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself out of extra sales and extra money. Let's talk about the cons to cross-posting before we get into the pros. And with each con, I'm actually going to give a rebuttal, because obviously and very clearly, we cross-post with List Perfectly. We're on 5-6 platforms if you count Amazon, and local sales make 7. There's no reason not to be cross-posting. You're cheating yourself out of money if you aren't. But there are folks who say you shouldn't, and I'll tell you their reasons and that I've seen. I mean, there may be reasons that I'm not going to mention. There may be cons to cross-posting that I won't get into here just because I've never heard them come up in conversation or in posts. The number one reason not to cross-post, or that folks don't cross-post, is the issue of double selling. People are afraid that they're going to double sell an item. The answer to that is you have to be vigilant. If you're going to be on more than one platform and you're going to have the same items on those platforms, you have to be vigilant. There are some people who don't cross-post the same items on different platforms, but they are still considered cross-posters or selling on multiple platforms, because they'll put, all their vintage on Etsy and all their plush on Mercari and all their remotes on eBay, just as an example. And that person's never going to double sell. But most cross-posters are putting all the items on all the places that will allow them to list those items there. And that is how you should generally be doing it to increase your visibility and your sales. But you have to keep an eye on things. You can't cross-post across 5 platforms, or you can't even cross-post across 2 platforms and check it once a week. That's not going to work. You have to be ending items as they sell on the different platforms, on the other platforms. Do you have to be glued to your phone 100% of the day? No. We actually do it once a day. Every morning when we are getting ready to do our shipping, we go through our sales and we end them on the platforms they did not sell on. We do this using List Perfectly. I'm going to give you a code at the end of the video, by the way, to get 30% off your first month with List Perfectly, so that you can start to cross-post and utilize it for all of its great features like we do, because I'm going to keep mentioning List Perfectly throughout this video. But we do use List Perfectly to quickly, efficiently, and in bulk end all of our solds every morning. And we do that every morning, even weekends. And it's fine. I have friends who end things as soon as they sell. They don't use List Perfectly, perhaps, or they just like to do it on their phone. And if something sells on eBay, they'll quickly end it everywhere else. I don't think it's necessary, but if it makes you feel better and that's what you got to do, you can do it. I think once a day is enough, unless it's popular. There's always an exception to everything I say. If I notice I've listed a pair of jeans that's had a lot of interest, and I've had offers or sent offers on several platforms, and then they finally sell on one, that one I would end right away. And that's because if it's popular and you've been sending out offers, the chances of it double selling are extremely high. But for the most part, I think once a day is enough. I will tell you, we have had double sales in the past, and generally it's because of us just not doing what we should be doing. We've had a couple of double sales on eBay that were weird, that had nothing to do with cross posting. They had already sold on eBay and then they sold again on eBay. And I really think that somehow things just relist themselves on eBay magically. I really do. The same way things fall off of eBay sometimes. But as far as selling something on a platform that had already sold on another platform, I think it's only happened to us 3, maybe 4 or 5 times in as many years. And usually it's because we were busy on a weekend and didn't feel like ending stuff, to be honest. We would just be busy and we wouldn't get on and end stuff. Or, oh, hey, those have been listed for 2 years. Nobody ever wanted those jeans and they sold on eBay. So we'll just deal with it Monday morning because we're busy. Then they'll sell on Poshmark or Mercari. That's happened 2 times, I think, where it was just a matter of us not doing our due diligence or being vigilant, like I said you should be. And it wasn't because we do it every morning that it happened overnight. It was because we left it for a weekend. We have had one instance where something sold overnight on multiple platforms, but that's rare. And I don't think that happening once to us in 5 years. Right now, we have 2,200 listings active, and we used to have closer to 4,000. The odds of that happening again, it's so rare. I don't think that should deter you from cross-posting. And then the other couple times were before we were using List Perfectly, and we didn't really have a good process in place, and we were making mistakes, which is why it's super important to have a good inventory management system in place, to be vigilant, to have a good system of keeping track of what's listed where and have I ended it here, there, and the other. If you're not using List Perfectly, that can be daunting. List Perfectly is not just a cross poster, it is an inventory management system so that you can see where your items are listing, where they have sold, if they have been ended. You can double check all of that just in one screen. So the double selling as a reason not to cross post, I don't think it's a reason. Stay on top of your stuff. You'll be fine. One of the other reasons I've heard is because it's too hard. Why are you a reseller then? How is it too hard to cross-post to Mercari or Poshmark from eBay? Actually, listing on those platforms is easier. And if you want to make more money, I don't understand. There's nothing in this job that should be too hard to do. If you don't want to do it or it's too hard, then you shouldn't be a reseller. Hashtag tough love. It's just like I said in my video about washing clothes. You should be washing your items. You should be sending out clean items to your buyers. If allowing time for that isn't in your business model, I mean, I can't imagine someone saying, I don't have time to thrift. I don't have time to list. Why don't you have time to cross post? How is it hard? It's really not. Even if you're not using something like List Perfectly, it's really not. If you start your listings in eBay or on List Perfectly, and if you start them on List Perfectly and push them out, cross-posting is a breeze. I can list on 5 platforms the same amount of time it would take me to organically list on eBay back in the day. But if you start on eBay, which is the hardest one, with the most things to click and fill in, and then you're just cross-posting to Poshmark or Mercari or Etsy or somewhere that has an easier listing interface and tool, it's not hard. It's not. Do you want to make more money or do you want to sit around and complain that it's too hard? That goes with anything, not just cross-posting. Don't just sit around and complain that things are too hard. It's too much. Well, then, sorry, maybe you need to get a job outside of the house or a job where someone's telling you what to do and micromanaging you all day. There's some more tough love. All right. Another con is spread out too thin. These were the exact words I saw somewhere, Instagram or Facebook. How are you spread out too thin? I don't understand that concept. I can understand that when we're talking about niching down or selling more than one category, which is a whole nother video, whole nother topic in and of itself. When you're learning to do something and you're trying to learn about all the different types of items you can be selling and you're new, yes, you could be spreading yourself too thin. But I don't see how that matters on platforms. Do I suggest that you become adept, really adept and knowledgeable on one platform at a time? Yes. So don't be a new reseller and list your very first item on 10 platforms. You'll drive yourself crazy. I always tell people, start with one, whatever your choice. eBay is the best one to start with because it is the hardest to learn. It has the hardest learning curve. It has the hardest listing to do, I believe. The fees are different. Everything on eBay is different, and I think it's the most difficult to learn, and it has the most steps. And if you can learn eBay and become really good at eBay, then you can do anything. So I don't suggest just jumping in to the deep end and listing on 10 platforms. No, you should absolutely get all your listings on one, get to know that, learn about shipping on that one and the fees and how the buyers are and how to run sales or whatever you're going to do. Get really good at one platform and then add another one. And when you're comfortable there and you feel like you're ready, add a third, etc. But you're not really spreading yourself out too thin once you are knowledgeable and adept at each platform. Once we learned eBay, we added Poshmark. Once we learned Poshmark, we added Mercari. Once we learned Mercari, we added Grailed. Now we've added Citizen. Now we've added Amazon. But we know the platform. So I don't understand the concept of spreading yourself too thin. If all your listings are on all the platforms you're listing on, you're not taking away from anywhere else. If they're all on the platforms, it's not like you took them off of one place to put them on another. It's not like I'm not learning enough about eBay because I'm listing on Poshmark, because there's really not much more to learn. Once you've learned how to list, sell, ship, run sales, run promotes, all the good stuff on every platform, there's really nothing else to do but list on that platform. So the spreading yourself out too thin, I don't buy it. I don't buy it unless that's buying back into it's too hard, it's too much work, I can't list on all these platforms. If I double, there is that mentality, I guess, if you double down and just list on eBay, you can do all the listings on eBay and list more. But I don't really buy into that either, because cross-posting is so easy. Even if you're not using a tool like List Perfectly, it's still not that hard. And I don't think that cross-posting is going to be detrimental and take away from your overall listing. If you can list 10 a day on eBay, you can list 10 a day on all the platforms. Because, it takes minutes to cross-post from eBay to the other ones that are easier to list on. Again, I would recommend using something like List Perfectly, because you can create 10 listings in your catalog and then push them out to all your platforms. Very super easy with bulk, and not take any extra time at all. So I guess I can kind of understand the whole, if I'm cross-posting everywhere, I can't list as much as I can on eBay. And a lot of people feel like eBay is their moneymaker. I mean, even we do. Most of our sales, most of our money is made on eBay. It is probably the most well-known selling platform other than Amazon, with the most eyeballs on it and the most sellers and the most buyers, and probably the biggest market. But then cross-post less elsewhere. If you really want to have a goal of how much you're posting on eBay, and focus on that and get your listings up, then do that first, then cross-post. Like I said, get used to one, but don't use that as an excuse forever. Don't say, because I want to list more on eBay, I'm not putting my stuff elsewhere. Because you may be listing more there and your listings may be growing, but maybe you're not selling to your full potential that you could be if you were elsewhere. So let's get into the pros. Speaking of selling more. So if you have your items on several platforms, you will have more eyes, more buyers, more sales. Every platform that you're on will provide you a whole new audience, a bigger pool of buyers. Every platform will bring you a whole new customer base. Because at the end of the day, people shopping on eBay typically aren't shopping on Poshmark. People shopping on Mercari typically aren't shopping on Etsy. Most platforms have their customer base that are shopping there. So if you're only listing on eBay, you're missing out on the customer base for Poshmark, Etsy, Mercari. So when you get on these new platforms, you're getting a bigger audience. Like I said, more eyes, more buyers, a whole new customer base with each selling platform. But you're also giving yourself a higher potential ranking in search engines for Google and Bing. So the more platforms you are on, the more likely it is that the Google bots are going to find your listings and put them in searches, because those Google bots are searching Poshmark and eBay and Mercari. So it's also casting a bigger net for you to show up there. While every platform does have its customer base, there are still some folks who go to Google to look for stuff. People who aren't savvy with online shopping, the elderly generation, people new to shopping online. There's a plethora of people that will just say, you know what? I wish I had a Cabbage Patch Kid like I had when I was 10. Let me Google it. And then a search will show them, hey, it's available to buy here on Etsy or Poshmark or eBay, and they'll go buy it. So you want to increase your eyeballs in as many ways as possible. And you're not just getting eyeballs on those platforms. You're increasing your chance to be shown in Google. You're also reducing your risk as a seller in general. So if sales on one platform are slow or lacking or they decrease, you can still depend on your sales from another platform. So if you're solely only on eBay, and let's say eBay changes something or glitches or something happens, or it's just a slow time of year for eBay and your sales go down, where's your other income coming in? Where's the income coming in to make up that loss on eBay? Let's say you only sell on Poshmark and for whatever reason your sales are down over there. Where are you getting the extra income from? I can say that we have been cross-posting for years, and it almost always feels like when one or two platforms are doing really well, another one is not. It would be nice if they would all do well at the same time, but I almost feel like that's the safety net of cross-posting. When our eBay sales are slow, Posh and Mercari will pick up the slack. When Poshmark hits a lull, Mercari picks up the slack. When Mercari hits a lull, eBay's doing really well. So you constantly have different platforms that may be hitting that roller coaster of online sales, but you've always got somebody picking up the slack. That's why it's important to have multiple streams of income, so you're not relying on just one. You have all these different incomes coming in, and that's not just with reselling and cross-posting. You can have other streams of income also to have that safety net. So the pros are you're going to have more sales, which equates to more profits and more money. You may have to work a little bit more. I'm going to go back to that con of, but it's more work. But how are you going to make more money if you don't work more anyway? Duh. Cross-posting is more work. Yeah, well, so is listing more on just one platform. If you want to make more money and more sales and more profits, you have to sell more. And that means thrifting more, buying more wholesale, however you get your products, your inventory, photographing more, listing more, and working more. Whether you're doing it all on one platform or multiple platforms, increasing your workload is kind of like an obvious thing that's going to have to happen if you want to make more money. I don't think it's so much of a huge workload that you're going to buckle under it. Again, I think listing on other platforms other than eBay is a lot easier. And then once you're cross-posting, it's just super easy. So you can do it manually by yourself, copy, paste one by one, or you can use List Perfectly and use their tools. They have bulk cross-posting, and they have the ability to create your listing right in List Perfectly and cross-post. I have an entire series on this channel dedicated to List Perfectly tutorials that you can watch to learn. You can also go to listperfectly.com, and their tech team has a whole bunch of learning videos and tutorials there as well. But I highly recommend List Perfectly. It pays for itself within the first month. The amount of sales, the increased sales you're going to have, not only that, but the increased productivity, because it does streamline all your processes and make everything easier, from listing to cross-posting to inventory management to ending things when they sell. That said, I do have a code for you. It's Flippin' Hippos. Imagine that. It's Flippin' Hippos. Just plug in Flippin' Hippos on List Perfectly when you sign up, and you'll get your first month 30% off, and you can try it out. If you are on the simple or the basic plan on List Perfectly now, and you want to try out the pro plan, or if you're on the simple plan and want to try the basic or the pro plan, basically, if you are on a lower plan and you want to upgrade, you can use that code. So you can already be a List Perfectly user, but you can upgrade to the next level with the code Flippin' Hippos to try that out for 30% off. So if there's some features on the pro plan that you see that you're like, I wonder what that's like. I wonder if that would benefit me or make my job easier or be something my business could effectively make more money with. Upgrade. Use Flippin' Hippos. Get 30% off. You can always cancel List Perfectly at any time or step down with no penalties. So if you're on the basic plan, you try pro for a month, 30% off with my code, and you don't like it and you don't want to pay full price, at the end of the month, you step back down, no penalties. If you haven't tried List Perfectly yet and you want to try it and you try it for a month and don't like it, no penalties. But they do keep your stuff saved forever. So anything you put in your catalog on List Perfectly, if you cancel for any reason or you have to leave and come back, your stuff will still be there. That's pretty cool, right? So go try it out. If you haven't, upgrade, try the pro plan. That is what we use. It has all the great features on it that really, really streamline all of your processes, from taking photos to listing, cross-posting, inventory management. Check out my tutorials if you haven't, just to kind of see what you can do. A lot of folks just think List Perfectly, they think cross-posting, but it's so much more than that. You can do so much with this tool. I call List Perfectly a tool because it is a tool. It's a really good tool in your toolbox if you're a reseller. So go be productive, guys. Go cross-post. Make some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.